Hey guys, what is up, and I welcome each and every one of you to a new League of Legends video. Today's video is going to be yet another discussion type video because we'll be talking about something that has been honestly kind of bothering me for a very long time. And the topic is going to be fake assassins in League of Legends, or essentially talking about assassins that Riot has apparently listed as a core role assassin, but they're really just not played as an assassin whatsoever, and it almost makes you question what exactly even is an assassin. Now, right before we jump into the actual topic, the question of today's video is McDonald's or Burger King, which do you prefer? And if you end up enjoying this discussion type video, let me know by hitting that like button. Alright, so fake assassins in League of Legends. What exactly do I mean by that? Well, the first example I'm going to be talking with you guys about is going to be Nocturne. Now, this guy, according to Riot, and as you can clearly see, is listed as an assassin for his primary role, yet it is very easy to say and point out as to why he really just doesn't play like an actual assassin. But then that begs the question of what exactly is an assassin then? Well, according to Riot, these are all of the champions that they consider to be as a primary role of an assassin. But I'll be talking about 3 champions including Nocturne that I feel like really break this rule and aren't really assassins, plus another couple of examples. And here's Riot's apparent definition of what an assassin champion is. Assassins specialize in infiltrating enemy lines with their unrivaled mobility and quickly dispatch high priority targets. Due to their mostly melee nature, assassins must put themselves in dangerous positions in order to execute their targets. Luckily, they often have defensive tricks up their sleeves that, if used cleverly, will allow them to effectively avoid incoming damage. Now, that last part is a little bit skewed in the way that they say it because it can mean so many different things. But in my opinion, what that should mean is the fact that they have ways, if played correctly, that they can just dodge damage, not necessarily reduce it from getting some form of tanky kind of stat, or not absorb it. So for instance, Nocturne's W or something like a heal. So back on the topic of Nocturne and why he's not really considered to be an assassin even though he is listed as one. Nocturne's playstyle, what exactly is it? Well, what does he do? He pops his ultimate, he dives straight headfirst at a target somewhere in the backline, and he auto attacks them to death. That's pretty much what he does. He doesn't have any other form of mobility other than his ultimate, so he can't really escape a situation either. And he either dies first or kills his target first through his auto attacks, again, much more similar to something maybe like a fighter or a skirmisher. An assassin is someone like maybe Zed or Kassadin, Rengar, Talon, champions that have some form of stealth, mobility, ways to assassinate their target, especially single target damage, but also have ways to instantly get out if they utilize their abilities and overall kit successfully. Now, the reason I bring up Nocturne as the first example is because apparently Riot does agree with this. I mean, they actually don't really see Nocturne as an assassin anymore, even though he is still listed as such. And here's that quote from Riot Meddler: "We feel Nocturne's a diver, fighter, and not an assassin. And even though both of these roles do have more or less the same purpose, which is to dive on a valuable squishy target and kill them, assassins are not only much burstier, but they are also much more focused on dealing the damage based on their abilities and having next to no CC in their kit. While divers or fighters, on the other hand, rely much more on their tankiness and also their auto attacks, bringing in a little bit slower damage but more consistent damage." So based on all of that, Nocturne is the best example to start this video off to give you guys a pretty good example of what I mean a fake assassin really is. Nocturne, not really an assassin, definitely has similarities to one, but does not really play like one. I mean, he's not a Zed, he's not a Talon, he's not a Rengar, nor a Kassadin. He is a diver, someone maybe like Jarvan as well. But let's move into the second champion that I want to talk about with you guys in this video. Another one who I just don't really feel like is an actual assassin champion, yet he is also listed as an assassin according to Riot. And of course, that champion is going to be none other than Master Yi. So now, to me, when I think of Master Yi, I do think of someone very similar to Nocturne. I mean, what does Master Yi do whenever a teamfight does happen? I mean, yeah, he has his Q, which is a pretty good mobility move, but it's very similar to maybe something like a Nocturne ultimate. He doesn't really break the rules of what it means to be an assassin as much as Nocturne, but I mean, when he goes for the target and kills them, he relies on his auto attacks. Most of his damage, if not maybe even 80% of it, comes from his auto attacks combined with the passive-ish kind of effects from his ultimate and his E. So he definitely has elements of what it means to be an assassin, but I feel like the main reason of just him relying on his auto attacks to kill his targets and not really relying on his spells sort of just breaks the rules of what it means to be an assassin. Again, looking at someone like Zed or Talon or Rengar or Kassadin or even Katarina, all of them, which are definitely assassins, require abilities. They solely focus on their abilities to deal their damage and to kill their targets. But then you also have Master Yi's Meditate, his W ability, which is also not a very assassin-y type ability because it gives him a lot of defensive stats, it gives him HP regeneration, and to me, and apparently also to Riot, assassins really shouldn't have much defensive capabilities whatsoever. The only type of actual defensive stats or capabilities they should have are abilities that dodge other things. So for instance, Master Yi's Q is a pretty good example of what an assassin-y type ability should be. But his W is a very sort of fighter bruiser or even tanky-ish kind of feel to it, and it's a little bit awkward. So again, even though I don't necessarily feel like Master Yi breaks the rules as much as Nocturne does, he's not really far from it either. And then the final one of the main three I want to talk about before going into another smaller example is going to be Natalie. Now, of the three champions I have talked about so far, Natalie is probably the closest one to what it actually means to be an assassin. But to me, she also feels much more of a mage than an assassin as well, because her primary role, as you can clearly see here, is listed to be an assassin champion and secondary a fighter. But Natalie's playstyle, what is it? You stand back, usually throwing a lot of spears, and when you finally hit that good one, you go into Cougar form and you pounce for your target, which to me definitely has an assassin playstyle to it because you wait for the right time, you mark your opponent, and you go in for the kill and for the hunt. But the fact that you spend a majority of your time trying to land those spears and just being kind of a mage poking from afar doesn't really give her the assassin-y almost feel to it. She doesn't really have a whole lot of ways to get out of a bad situation either because her pounce is only really that good when you actually have a target that is hunted. Her E ability is also a heal, which is a defensive ability, something that I feel like those kind of champions should not have. Now, like I said, Natalie is definitely the closest one to being an actual assassin of the three champions I'm talking about, but there's definitely aspects of her where it just feels like she's more of a mage rather than an actual assassin. Now, don't get me wrong, I mean, it's not that it's a bad thing, it's not like being assassin is the best thing ever. I mean, it doesn't really matter, it's just more of just the playstyle of how the champion feels. But before we end off the video, there's one more example that I want to talk about. One is another champion that I feel like is definitely an assassin, but there are a certain amount of aspects that feel a little bit awkward for the role, and then another champion that is not listed as an assassin at all, not even secondary, but plays very similar to how one should. But let's move along to the next champion that I want to talk with you guys about, Echo. So it's no secret by now that Echo is obviously listed as an assassin type champion, and for the most part, he definitely plays like one. But the biggest thing in Echo's kit that really just gives him that weird feeling of, is he really an assassin, is his W, because not only does it have a very large AoE CC effect, but it also offers him a very generous shield. And on top of all of that, it also gives him extra percentage damage bonus on target's HP. I mean, this is one of the main reasons why Tank Echo was so popular and insanely dominant for such a long time, because, well, his kit just simply allowed him to go from an assassin to this sort of diver, skirmisher, kind of bruiser type champion. So when you do actually play Echo as an AP champion, which is how you really should be playing him, he definitely feels like an assassin. He definitely has the playstyle of an assassin as well. But again, that W sometimes just makes you really wonder, is this something an assassin champion should have? Is this really healthy for their kit? And I'm honestly really curious to see what you guys think about this as well, so if you're still watching this video up to this part and you heard me say this, let me know down in the comments below on top of answering the actual question of the video, what are your thoughts on Echo having such an awkward ability for an assassin type champion? But there's still one more champion that we have to discuss. Diana. Now this one has been a mystery for a long time, one that I just don't really understand, because if someone like Echo, if someone like Master Yi, if someone like Nocturne is listed as an assassin, then in what universe is Diana listed as a fighter mage and not assassin fighter or fighter assassin? I mean, think about it. What does Diana do with her kit? How does her playstyle work? She has her Q, which if she lands on her target, dealing decent damage already, sets up for her ultimate. She dashes on her target as well. It resets the cooldown of her ultimate, which she can then use to dash on either another champion or a minion and dodge abilities or continue on for the kill. She definitely has elements that are similar to almost every champion that I just talked about. I mean, her W is very similar to Echo or Nocturne's W. Her playstyle with how she resets and can continue on for the chase, and how she has the dashing ability to get right on her target, very similar to maybe Nocturne's ultimate or Master Yi's Q and ultimate mix. Now, I don't necessarily think she is a straight up assassin. I mean, she is definitely a hybrid assassin fighter type champion because she has the W, which is a very defensive ability, same with her E, but she definitely should be at least listed as an assassin fighter because if Master Yi, if Nocturne, and if even Natalie are able to be listed as assassins, then why is Diana not? This is the one that always has been bothering me for a very long time. I mean, I just can't get it in my mind as to how this champion can be considered a mage as her secondary role. It just truly doesn't make any sense to me. But either way, guys, that is about it for this video. Sort of a discussion video that I just wanted to get off of my mind because this topic has been on my mind for a very long time. So let me know down below what you think about this whole idea or this whole topic of this video and these fake assassins in League of Legends. If you did enjoy this video, let me know by hitting that like button to show your support. Share this with your friends. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't, then check out my other videos as well. But I thank each and every one of you for watching and hope to see you for the next video. Peace.